This Sunday, our Houston Texans are back in action, taking on the Washington Redskins in Washington, and it's a battle of two 6-3 teams for the first time all season, I guess you can say, because when we played the Patriots, they were 0-0. The Texans are playing a team with a record above 500, so let's see what these Texans are made of. But before we really start with these matchups, I want to talk about something. Injuries. Injuries in this game, I feel like, should play a huge part, or could play a huge part, because look, these are two teams going in different directions, in my opinion, in terms of injuries. The Houston Texans against the Redskins are getting healthier. They should get back Kiki QT. They should get back Jonathan Joseph and Aaron Colvin. Like, the odds of them being back are pretty much, I'd say, 95% chance. They'll most likely be back. And then, it's been rumored that apparently Dylan Cole is coming back in the near future, or that it's highly possible Dylan Cole comes back in the near future. And then, of course, you got Deontay Foreman as well. Apparently this week, Deontay Foreman will start practicing, so the Texans are getting healthier. And then Zach Cunningham should be back next week against the Tennessee Titans. So, the Texans are getting healthier. But then you got the Washington Redskins on the other hand. They just lost Paul Richardson a couple weeks ago, one of their top targets. Their all-pro left tackle Trent Williams will most likely miss out the game against the Texans with thumb injury. Both of their starting guards, Sean Laveau and Brandon Scherf, they're out for the season. So both of these teams are kind of heading in different directions in terms of injuries. The Redskins are getting injured while the Texans are getting healthier. Anyways, now that I've said that, it's time to get into some matchups. Let's start off with the Redskins offense, their running offense, versus the Texans running defense. On the ground, the Redskins average 121 yards per game, which is 10th in the league, and the Texans allow an average of 93 yards per game on the ground, which is 6th in the league. Now, the way I see this matchup playing out is I think the Redskins will have little to no success on the Texans' running defense. I think the Texans' run defense is good, but I think the fact that the Redskins will for sure be missing 2 starting linemen, most likely 3, I think that's really going to make them really struggle in the run game. I think the Texans contain that Washington Redskins run game and have success in that aspect of the game. Now, when we move on to the Redskins passing offense versus the Texans passing defense, the Redskins average an anemic 216 yards per game through the air, which is 26th in the league, and the Texans pass defense allows 243 yards through the air per game, which is 15th in the league, so, league average. Now, honestly, I think Alex Smith is going to find success against the Texans secondary. For whatever reason, I don't know why, Alex Smith, an average quarterback, for some reason, always balls out versus the Texans. It's happened for like the past 5 years when we played them consistently in Kansas City, or played Alex Smith consistently in Kansas City. For whatever reason against the Texans, Alex Smith just decides to, attempt all these type of throws. He attempts to take off running. It's just always been a thing with Alex Smith against us. I don't know what it is, or at least that's the way it feels like to me. Alex Smith always finds success against the Texans through the air and with his feet. For whatever reason, he just decides he wants to run against the Texans. I guess he just loves it or something. I don't know. So, I do think that the Redskins, unfortunately, will take advantage of the absence of Zach Cunningham. I don't think we have a linebacker on this team that can really stop Jordan Reed. I think the big mismatch will be down the middle of the field with Jordan Reed. And yeah, unfortunately, I do think on paper the matchup does favor the Texans, but I just see Alex Smith doing Alex Smith things again against the Texans, how he always does, unfortunately. Now, the Redskins pass protection versus the Texans pass rush. The Redskins have allowed 19 sacks on the season, and the Texans have gotten 23 sacks on the season. Now, both of those numbers aren't really crazy good or, bad either. Because the Texans, 23 sacks, that's not that good. But it's also not bad. And the Redskins, 19 sacks allowed. That's not that good. But it's also not that bad either. The way I see this playing out is I think the Texans will get some pressure on Alex Smith due to the fact that a lot of his starting offensive linemen will be out for the game. But Alex Smith is gonna dink and dunk because that's what Alex Smith does. He dinks and dunks his way down the field, and I feel like he's just going to be taking all these little checkdowns the second he has J.J. Watt or Jadeveon Clowney breathing on his neck. Now, let's move on to the other side of the ball. The Texans offense versus the Redskins defense. And the Redskins have a really good defense. So, the Texans on offense, to the ground, they average 120 yards per game, which is 11th in the league. And the Redskins' run defense allows an average of 91 yards per game, which is 5th in the league. The way I see this matchup playing out is I 100% believe that the Texans will once again struggle to run the football. I think the Texans will have zero success running the football, and I'm just being honest with that. You guys saw against Denver, we've only had 4 good running games, and the Redskins are probably the best run defense we've played all season. Seriously, their defensive line is stacked. They got Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, both of them are first rounders from these past couple years. They're so good. They got Ryan Kerrigan. They got Matthew Ioannidis. If you guys haven't heard of him, well, you should really do some research on him because he's really underrated. He's a great pass rusher I believe, has 8 sacks this season. And this defensive line is arguably the best in the league. And I think they'll shut down the Texans' run game, unfortunately. Now, the Texans' passing attack versus the Redskins' passing defense. The Texans average 249 yards through the air per game, which is 18th in the league, so again, league average. The Redskins defense allows 270 yards through the air per game, which is 25th in the league. Now, the way I see this playing out is Deshaun Watson will have some success through the air, but I feel like he will be running for his life all game because the Redskins, they can get after the quarterback, and the Texans, I'm not too confident they can win these one-on-one matchups, like Ryan Kerrigan versus Julian Davenport. Yeah, he'll probably have help, but still, And you have Ioannidis versus Kendall Lamb, Daron Payne versus Zach Fulton, Sunil Kelemeti versus Jonathan Allen. I just honestly do not feel comfortable with our offensive line in this game. I don't like it one bit, man. I see it as a terrible matchup. If you guys thought the Broncos defensive line / linebackers with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb was bad, well, it's about to get a whole lot worse with this defensive line, because trust me, they can stop the run and get after the quarterback. Now, before we move on, there's something about the Redskins that we really have to talk about. The Redskins have an 11+ turnover differential, meaning they don't turn the football over and they get a lot of turnovers. An 11+ turnover differential is really good. I mean, really good. Alex Smith has only thrown 3 interceptions all season, so getting Alex Smith to make a mistake is not really likely to happen. So the Texans really have to be careful with the football, and they have to be opportunistic when they're on defense playing against the Redskins offense. Now, the keys to the game. There's 3 of them if the Texans want to win. Number 1, they have to win the turnover battle. They absolutely have to. The Redskins defense is opportunistic. They will try and get turnovers, so the Texans have to protect the football, and they have to themselves create some turnovers, whether it's by stripping a ball, whether it's by forcing a strip sack on Alex Smith, getting a pick. No matter how it is, the Texans have to find a way to take the football away from Washington. Number 2, don't let Alex Smith run. Keep contained on Alex Smith. How I said earlier in the video, Alex Smith just loves to run against the Texans. So keep him contained. Keep him in the pocket. If you can stop Alex Smith from extending drives with his feet, you have a very good chance of winning this game. And number 3, protect Deshaun Watson, because honestly, I am scared for Deshaun's life in this game, because this Washington Redskins defensive line is scary. Very scary. Now, my score prediction. 17-13 Redskins win. Yeah, man, honestly, this defensive line terrifies me. I don't think we'll be able to move the ball against them through the ground, and Deshaun Watson will have very little success moving the ball downfield through the air due to the D-line constantly being in his face. I do think Deshaun will get some drives going, but I do feel like they'll stall in the red zone how they've done in the past this season. And I feel like Alex Smith is gonna, again, extend drives on third down situations. He's gonna find a way to pick up first downs either by dinking and dunking the ball all the way down the field, or by simply taking off and running, because, again, for whatever reason, Alex Smith just loves to do that to the Texans. And I just don't see this Texans defense being able to force turnovers. This Redskins team doesn't turn the ball over, and I don't think we'll be able to create more opportunities for Deshaun Watson on short fields to be able to put a point on the board. So, I do think the Texans come out a little bit sluggish after the bye week. I think that bye week kind of came at a good time, but also at a bad time. A good time because you get some guys back from injury. A bad time because you were on a roll. You were on a 6-game win streak. You were on fire, and the bye week just cools you down. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.